Hello. We are here. Oh, I don't even know if we've started. Okay, we are now live. Welcome. It's the Relational Embodied Intimacy Group. What turns you on more, planning or impulse? So, we're going to dive into this topic tonight. It's been a couple of Mondays since I've been here. As always, let me fix my eyebrows, which have a mind of their own. All right, if you jump on live, please do say hello. Or if you're a voyeur and you like to hear the replays, whatever tickles your fancy. Um, so this topic is pretty hot for me because I'm constantly weighing both options. Whoa, my mind just went one way and I'm going to like bring it back to center. So if you're the kind of person that So, a couple things. This is a good video for you if you're the kind of person that's like, oh, I go with the flow. That's one way. Or, I love planning everything because secretly you're a control freak. Or you're the kind of person that's like, he or she should plan it. And if they don't, they're fucked up. Okay, so we're going to talk about all of those and more. And stay the course because this is something that is so key to not feeling lonely. And it takes confidence and it takes showing the fuck up and it takes vulnerability. I see a little mosquito. Bing. So, within this realm of planning and impulse, there is a fluidity that's like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So it's really not or, but what I'll share about tonight will hopefully get you to a place where you're like, ah, I can really have everything I want. Now, my backstory here, and a lot of women and a lot of men, a lot of people that I work with have this idea that it's kind of embedded in all of our systems. This Prince Charming, this like princess, fairy godmother, goddess, like whoever's going to be your one, um, should. There's a lot of shoulds. And we hope as little kids that the person that we love and the person that loves us will know everything that we want to do. Now, whether you're willing to admit that that still exists in you or not, it does. And I hear it from people all the time. They don't say it straight out, but they're like, but the cadence is like, no, 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 no. Like, she should da 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 da, or he should blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to give specific examples because that takes my mind in another direction. What I want to give to you is if you feel in your heart of hearts, and this is something vulnerably for you to admit to yourself, that you imagine your dream partner is like gonna just know what to do for you, or they're gonna be trained enough in what to do for you, or they're gonna understand you. Let me get a little closer here. Then you can admit to yourself that you really want that you really want someone to know you, right? So let's start there. So let's say somebody, you meet them and they get to know you. And because you have felt met and you feel understood and you feel known, there is a part that's like, well, now they're going to know other things. They're going to know what to do. And that's where it gets convoluted because very few people are willing to admit that to a new partner. And there's a lot of like, no, that's okay. There's a lot of like, oh, I'm going to learn a lesson versus speaking the truth. So when I'm recommending to people, and this is my method to follow the impulse, it does not necessarily need to be met by an action. So let me give you an example of that. So, okay, let's use a real life example. At the beach, I'm with this guy. He's a friend. And he's like, what do you want to do after this? Do you want to go for music? Do you want to go eat? And he basically was like, what do you want to do? And I was kind of overwhelmed in the moment. So I must have had a face of like, oh. And he's like, in a perfect universe, what do you want? with that question, I was able to be impulsive and share and be like, I want to have a dry bathing suit on me. Like I had all these details. I want to go hear music and I want this place to be serving this and this and this food. He's like, great. And then he went swimming. And I sat there and I was like, what a great question. Because it also gave me the freedom to check back in afterwards and be like, okay, here's what it ended up being. And then there was a little bit more planning involved. So, what I want to say is follow your impulse with your words. Let it be seen, let it be heard, let it be witnessed. And then see how you feel. And then take the actions. So, following your impulse, when I say, and this is a really good distinction, when I say follow your impulse, like follow it like a journey, like, ooh, this is this and this and this. And when you hear that, say it out loud and then see how it feels. So, this is not a journey to do alone, if you don't get that point. This is a journey where you're basically hearing yourself, feeling what that feels like to say it, and then being like, you know what? So this is important. And if you don't know who I am, I know this is like kind of lame, but I want to do it anyway. It's a good habit that I want to get into. I'm Enchantress Shane. And I love helping people get unstuck and living a bigger life than they can even imagine, like fully liberated, fully bold, and always growing up. Like there's never a place where it's like, okay, I'm done. So I was actually feeling like a poopy pants for a while. I was just like, I had a long day and it was like emotionally charged and it was still loving and kind. And then I came home and I was like, brah. But, not but, and the connection. So when you are following an impulse, if it's living in your head and you're not saying it or sharing it with anyone else, it's as good as shit. So it's really about following your impulse and speaking it. Now, that was the situation with a friend. Here's a situation with a client and a guy. So she did great, and I really want to shine her off. I won't give you her name, but if she watches this, fucking bravo. Brava. So she's on a date with a guy. She really likes him, and she's already creating stories in her head about, like, how he's going to hang out with her friends and meet her daughter and, like, all this, like, excited little girl chatter, like, oh, the man of my dreams, he's so great, blah blah blah. And what she did, which is something we've been working on for a long ass time, so she, like, her work is to be more playful with the person, not in her head. And what that looks like is her fantasies of this guy being Prince Charming and being all the things that she ever wanted, like, she doesn't share any of that. She keeps that in her head. So the thing that I'm proud of, she didn't speak that to him, which would have been major moves, is to be like, ooh, you're like a Prince Charming in my life. Now, did you hear how I said that? It's like joyful and playful, not like, are you going to marry me? You know, very heavy and serious. We have to keep it light and energized. And if it doesn't stay light and energized on the impulse, if you don't speak it on the impulse, guess what? It starts to get heavy and weighed down. That's why sharing the impulse is super important. So what she did was they started sending each other like selfies of each other. And she's like, I feel self-conscious every time I take a picture. And I'm like, okay, well, it's time to be more playful. Send him a picture of your pinky toe. Send him a picture of your thumb. Send him a picture of your shoulder. And that's like the impulse. So I'm like, don't plan it. Just do it. Like, what body part do you want to take a picture of? She said, my eye. Great. Send it. And she got so excited. So the impulse is exciting, and you have to let it ride. You have to let it play out. And, you know, when I said that, I thought of gambling. And you have to, like, guess a number, and that's what it is. It's a risk, right? Like gambling. You say the thing, and then you see how it flies. Another thing, like this guy, the guy from the beach, he's pretty, like, playful and silly, and, you know, I was directing him on how to get to the next location, and he's like, what if we turn onto here? Now, it was not the right way that I always go, but I said, "Ooh, you make that sound fun." Again, it's just following the impulse. These are really simple examples, but it's important to practice it so when things get serious or things feel higher stakes, that your body is already used to the thought going into your body and then out your mouth, right? It's like such a good habit. And I practice this a lot. I was out with a friend and I said this one thing. I think I pinked. And I said this one thing because I said to him, I'm going to practice really speaking what comes to my mind. And I feel comfortable with him and he elicits a lot of creativity. And so I said, we were talking or whatever. And for some reason, the alphabet came up. And I said, ooh, the letter C. I think each letter has a race. And I was like, that is so weird. But it brought us to this other place. And we got super like cosmically far out and creative. And so that impulse thought was not buried, right? So when you don't trust yourself, and you know I teach Trust Club because once we trust ourselves, everything is possible. But trusting that if you turn up the volume, on the things that immediately come out of your mind, you have been so trained, we've all been so trained to ignore that impulse. Speaking it, not always doing it, follow the impulse, hear it, speak it, question it, but allow the impulse. Allow it, allow it, allow it. Now, if you have a physical impulse to hit somebody, no. Oh, I do have a funny story. Fuck. All right, so I'm staying on topic, but I'll tell the story at the end. So, really important. What are you getting from this? What are you getting about the impulse? Ooh, 11 minutes. What are you getting about following the impulse? And what does that mean to you? And do you have any questions? Do you relate to this? Are you going to use this? Because if you're going to use this, fucking high five, write it. Like, not exactly what you're going to do, but write the impulse thought of where you're going to use this. Give yourself accountability. And it's so fun because as soon as you give yourself accountability, you're just going to do it. It's just like flat out simple. All right, so that's that. Okay. Break. If you're done listening, great. Here's the story. So this weekend, it was a music festival in Rockaway, and there was like tremendous dancing for me. Like I was like in my body. First I met two friends, and this guy, Eastern European guy, was so inappropriate and rude. He was coming up to everybody, men and women, and being like, "Will you date me? Will you date me?" And being really close and really fucking inappropriate. And I said, "No, you're not allowed." Because he was being rude to my friends and they were kind of weirded out. And everybody was weirded out. But he had two guy friends with him. And they would go behind him and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. He's drunk." But I'm like, that's not a good excuse. But I did get to stretch muscles of boundaries that I usually don't with my pointer finger. So, okay, he's still out and about doing his bullshit thing. Um, then he came over and he's like, "Can I dance with you?" And I said no. And then I felt bad. I'm like, oh, he's offering something kind. Whatever. I let that go. The friends leave. Now I'm by myself. And I'm dancing full on. Like, I'm like feeling it. It's like a blues, metal, rock and roll song. It's really good. And I had my eyes closed. And I was doing something with my arms. This is great. This is a great story. And doing something with my arms. My eyes are closed. I'm doing all these things. And all of a sudden, I feel this presence. I didn't think of him. I just felt a presence. And at the right ninja ass motherfucking moment, my hand went like that at the right angle, at the right place. And I punched the beer out of his hand, which landed loud and squirted everywhere. And he looked at me like, and I was like, whoa. But I didn't even stop to say whoa. I watched my other hands like go to smack his hat off his head, but I didn't. I like controlled that, which I also thought was fucking cool. And then I put my finger up in his face again, and I'm like, go over there. And he walked away, and his friend came and picked up the beer. And I was like, holy fucking shit. First of all, I felt that Shakti was like, he needed that move from me. I also felt that I never would have gotten physical with him, but he did get me that angry, and I didn't have to make the decision if I should touch him, because the moment that my hand went like this was in the right exact place for his beer. I never would have been that skillful. Like when I have been physical with men, I'm not proud of this, but I'm a chest pusher. So maybe I would have done that. But this was like aggressive enough, but I didn't hit his face or his chest. He would have fell backwards into the fucking band. I punched the beer. How ninja ass is that? And then, there were people around, and I had this whole vision of people being like, did you see the enchantress? What, she fucking knocked that beer out of his hand. What a fucking sharpshooter. I felt like famous. I love being watched, so I already thought people were watching me dance. And then punching his beer out of his hand, like, that's I could repeat the story again and again right now. It was so fucking fantastic. And then I kept dancing like Rocky slash who else? Like I was like Rocky and like Hedy Lamarr, and I didn't know what to do with myself. For after like 10 minutes, I was like, I have to go inside and tell somebody this fucking story. So I went into the bar area and I was like, listen, you guys, I know you don't know me, but this story just happened. Anyway, that's my story. I felt really good about it, and I felt really on fire, and I felt really connected, and I felt really glad that I left the house to go out dancing. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining. Thanks for letting me know what you got, what you learned out of this, and have a beautiful rest of your night. Okay, bye.